So like you know, I'm thinking right now that like the better than Ishida being like the only patient in like the ninth floor and it's the only thing that's only and absolutely convenient for them. Like other than Ichigo would be like only absolutely wrong, especially the scenario that I'm looking at. Ichigo being absolutely wrong is like the scenario that I'm looking at. So things like the scenario that I'm looking is like without mystery delay and the different like another follow attack in that city. So like that other thing in that Ichigo as well as like the other heading out to like basically stop the whole and I'm looking to be like a kind of like a safety for all of like the scenario that I'm looking at. So like with this take and I was looking that that requiring like not only Ichigo but like the others as well to like head out to like really stop the whole. So like I was around like at that point I was looking like it's just one among the we alone and would be like standing guard for like Ishida at the on the hospital like scenario. So like I'm thinking that doesn't really either chat or like feel like I'm going to burn that person will be either sad from like option it's like the scenario that I was while the others will be getting out there like fight like the whole of but like I'm different case during this time like I'm different like it's not uh would be like only having like one among them to like guard each other and like to the that person being used only one like the ninth floor like will be totally making it convenient for like Jin and his team while they would be like making the attack on to try to like take Shira's life. And definitely my with ambitions were like the chasing into my with ambition were like the bounce would be totally afraid of Quincy's definitely my with ambition because like Quincy would be like naturally having an extreme advantage over like the powers of like the Quincy would be naturally extremely advantageous when compared to like the powers towards like the powers of like the bounce that live as a like the powers of the bounce will be naturally weak to like the powers of efficiency. Just live as a so like right now, even though Vistara doesn't have any 20 powers, like definitely still like I'm looking like through Kunagawa by now Jin might have learned of like basically like they are being a 20 in that city and all that. So like I'm looking like they have even Uragawa as well as like Jin, all of them like I'm looking that way getting being totally afraid of like it's like of like the possibility of like it should getting back to like and see because like at that point I'm looking like they will be only afraid because like they won't be able to like so much at all against like events, especially if my brain but like it's like about the reason because you know the brain and so the reason for like you know even saying that is like the hope is like all lies in like Quincy like along this lines like basically around this line like the reason Yoshino had said the dialogue along this line is really because of like Yoshino being the love fully aware that like Quincy are like with these powers are basically naturally advantage seeing advantages to like the bounce against like the bounce definitely my preferred interaction for that is definitely I'm clear of so like so like I'm just saying like right now Unagawa will be like only afraid of like Ishida and like this is the reason for like Unagawa like especially targeting Ishida because Unagawa wants to like will be afraid to like get rid of Ishida and take Ishida's life before that the possibility of like Ishida getting back to the life I just because of like the scenario that so like once Unagawa will be like talking selling reporting about like him seeing like a Quincy to Jin, like at that point, Jin as well, he only getting insecure and afraid. And Jin as well was like at that point, sharing his a bunch of his like men who would all be born like this another concept. So like Jin sending all of them to like certainly targeting Ishida to take the like Ishida as like the scenario that I'm looking. So like I'm looking like while Ichigo will be fighting like the border on the different like all this like men of Jin and maybe like on those bring like it will be just on the this time it will be just like the henchmen count of like Jim that will be like a great number of them that will be like showing up to like take push it up like the scenario that I was doing. So like I'm looking at that point regardless of whether it's like chat or him that will be standing down for like for like the better and should I'm looking like regardless of who or it is like I'm looking at would that will be standing on like to extra and not against the great number of like these found guards like the scenario that are different. So like these found guards from the different won't be these bound henchmen like so the like these bound henchmen I was looking like would be nowhere near as strong as like even Uragawa's like the scenario that I was doing. But still since like they are found like they're having their unique powers, which will be like exceptionally strong. And so like I was, and the due to the great remember, like I was from that, whether it's of another like standing car, like they will seem to have a hard time. So like I'm looking these great number of henchmen like included only offering, like whether it's that or something like them usually offering, and that they would be able to take it up like the better than like at that very last second is when I'm looking like maybe if you went through would be that making it back and after like defeating it the whole and saying should have like the scenario that I'm looking over the younger gamers. Also, my tutorial lesson where sitting on this video for like you should have been being reminded of his mother. So my dad actually died like late mother like on seeing like the facial expression of like yours, you know, and also from like actually like there was a reason would be like sitting with my mother mentioned that like it might have been most like region that might have taken the life of like instead of father. So like uh Jin might have done that while in like supporting of like Yoshino as well as Punagawa. It's definitely my so like back then like Jin back then like Yoshida's father might have like lead up to Jin to like spare his life and definitely my veteran and definitely I'm super relaxed since like remember Yoshida's father might have been is like I can say like he might have never in his life might have at all focused on working on like fighting skills or anything so like especially because might have never even not even fought not even once in his life so like so this totally due to this reason I was like then might have been back then easily able to like overcome instead of father and take into the problems like personality and everything so like that might have happened so so like I'm remembering like since like and back then like we should have father might have played that to like status like and he might have told like Jim that like he has a son and he might have even shown like we should have photo back then it's definitely a observation and Yoshino might have stayed to plan like so like in like presentment Yoshino had seen Ishida like Yoshino might have recognized Ishida through that incident from like the past of seeing the photo of Ishida is definitely what my history and picture so definitely this might be the reason for like this specific facial expression of like using that like Ishida noticed which like reminded Ishida of that Ishida's mother's like facial expression from like the past and that might have been like her the reason for like Ishida's mother as well having like the same around like same kind of like a facial expression back then uh, that back then like that was the reason for like that might have been due to like maybe like it might have been after like Shira's father that like Shira's mother had that specific person. So definitely not because like Shira's father that like Shira's mother might have been afraid that basically like and Shira's mother might have eventually found out that maybe that it might that it was next the work of like bounce that basically Shira's husband like Shira's mother had died like so she might have been totally afraid for like Ishida because like she might have been afraid of like the probability of like her being text and if that happened like then like there will be absolutely no one to protect like the child Ishida so like the possibility of like then even then coming after Ishida as well like she might have had that absolute fear within her and this might be the reason for like basically that having that very same Ishida's mother back then having the same facial expression as that of like Yoshino right now, which like is the tough so it's definitely my personal impression right now. Also the feeling of the career impression as for like people specifically that people from like the society who are like usually close to that ago. Rangi, Okia and Raja Hanaka as well. Like basically being in like the being present in like the very same city as that Shizuo. And basically with like Randy as well as like Vidya showing up like framing as if like they're sort of in the name of like the whole Soul Reaper job due to like their Soul Reaper job alongside right and it's like Hanataro basically working at like a supermarket right now and all that like they have the impressions that like after like the whole agent incident and after agent had basically left from like the Soul Society by the help of like the main of Grande who left the world of Polos like basically from that point on I'm definitely running again because I might have gotten extremely insecure about like the safety of like the souls of the especially like share rate is definitely my intervention like so like again to say might since then might have been only expecting like an eventual like return by Asian with like an entire army of like hollows and all sorts of hollows and grand and everything to like destroy like resource rate rating and like resource rating. Like this might be like even more than resource rating like general society would be like only actually concerned about rating being destroyed as being one of the conditions. So like after like the whole recent incident and was like certainly general society himself might have been like might have like basically been Yandose himself might have been like training like this for Captain and everyone like and he might have like set up like specific uh training schedule every day for like the squad captain as well as like the lieutenants and like the other like low-rank soldiers in like it is definitely going to and on top of that like definitely another like General Sabadan might have only heard of like basically like of like really Ichigo's like fight performance against like Fire how like Ichigo had like totally surpassed and defeated Fire back then. So like I'm like Gentosa might have been or like Gentosa might be like at that after like the whole Asian incident Gentosa would be like okay insecure and like afraid deep down there like Gentosa might have felt that he has to like take all the options he can to like really strengthen up that charity and if he wants to like protect like the charity from season. Might have been along the line Gentosa might have felt but like I'm sure Gentosa might have straight to set aside like his since like Urahara was like in like the got kicked out of like the already like I was wondering back then like I'm thinking like Kinderson might have maybe like given the order to like kick Urahara out of like Serity back then. It's new so like that after like days and his person incident that very same Kinderson might have totally made communication with like Urahara. It's like what might have happened to him brain, which is so like they might have discussed like the whole case and situation and like so like I'm even like according to like or I can't or I have like or a sensitize like I'm even like get to it like into them straight away agree like into them I don't only set that to go and like into them I don't look at like an or I have out case precisely train and strengthen physical so that like because like into them we also seeing like physical as well as like great asset to the Soul Society if they want to like protect to like Soul Society and priority if they want to like protect like priority from like Ace of Potential future attack definitely on the So like I'm looking like Kembro it might be according to like Urahara after like Urahara and Gendo side description to like basically expression of Ichigo as to like how exactly like strengthen of Ichigo like not how exactly but like there are discussions to like strengthen Ichigo but in which like Urahara might have told Gendo side to like basically to give him like specifically these three people like specifically like Rukia Renji as well as like and Hanataro to like totally have them show up to like and stay for a while at like Ichigo City. It will be all according to like Kurahara's plan to which like Kendrose might have very totally agree. Like Kendrose might be like put in that full agreement to like offer all sorts of support for Kurahara and Kendrose will be well and fully aware of like Kurahara's potential to train like train and strengthen up like fighters and everything like so definitely I'm looking like this might be what's going on right now with like Renji as well as like Rukia and right now even like Hanataro being totally present in like it's the medicine city of Ichigo as that of Ichigo won't be at all according to the definitely my victory percent like this would be the first reason for like when Rukia has showed up like Rukia even having this like speak disturbance and like Rukia totally hiding something from Ichigo and all that like really this would be exactly what that is. That name of the thing is. And Rukia would be that also secure about like spending time as freely with like Ichigo as she used to back in like the past. Because like at that point like she might fear like the possibility of like basically that her hiding all this like both from Ichigo like she would be like probably even deep down feeling against it because like after like Ichigo had done like everything to like basically and rest just like and had saved Rukia really all that like the fact that like if you're like it would be like the person who is only freaking easy go like that would be like forming a feeling of there would definitely feeling of guilt which like if you have to like being forced to do that with like Ichigo. So like she would be afraid that basically with the like spend time with like Ichigo really as she had like about she might actually she might actually let out the code to like to so that if that happens like we leave the intent to like get to like do that straight the stealthy training to like go to like get stronger like that attempt would be like failing. Because like I'm looking like I don't like or harass like a strategical training which like or would be like doing like giving to like as you go like technically from around point of view stealth would be like an extremely essential element for like Ichigo to be able to like reach that level of strength. Of like what the ending of like I put back hit like Vanguard powers and even like grow from there as well to even more improvement be for it to be able to like increase upgrade and increase get that upgrade and increase in his strength like basically as part of the training like that Urahara would be doing Ichigo like stealth would be that would like and like extremely essential and crucial factor. Technical training. This might be the sole reason for like that possibly like or haram stealthily like training to go would be what's happening right now. Especially my preference and that stealthy training will be what will be connected to that Rukia Kanji as well as like Hanataro's like showing up to like university and all that. That's definitely my interest. Also, the name of this Korean person right now, as for like this thing that restaurant and a supermarket right now, would be most likely afford, especially when the current and like but we're like slowly like the frequency of like follow showing up to like the human would be that slowly increasing bit by bit, especially the current. So like and like because like Jin might have been doing this for like a while of like this acquiring like live human souls for a while and that tunnel will be like forming and more with like more and more intensity and precision like the tunnel and like the tunnel will be slowly forming and getting larger and larger that like slowly like the frequency of like all going up to like the human world will be increasing more and more like by each day. Especially my Korean direction. So like I was wondering like right now what would I right now crash to like Hanatawa supermarket to be most likely a follow, especially in our friends. And it would be during this like whole current fight against like follow by which you like bring down the whole and save the city. So during this fight that I'm about to bring that Ichigo totally realizing that Hanataro is like was like present in like this very same city as that of Ichigo. Like basically like doing the scenario that I'm doing that way like Hanataro as well being part of like Ichigo's like whole journey to like basically stop like the bounce and stop him and like the other bounce and the thing like basically like I'm wondering it to be through this like current fight against like the whole of I'm wondering like will be what would be happening right now would be like from that point on that Hanataro would be like once again going and being part of like Ichigo's through entire quest to like stop like the bounce certainly my preparation. Always like the film I'm in Korea production right now with like it being done to Shiba that they really showed up from like sky right now and with like meeting Hanataro right now. Definitely one with three persons were like basically definitely with like Hanataro and Ganju being surprised to like three pieces of like definitely so definitely one premission that like while they might have been like both Hanataro and Ganju would be like aware of like as to like why they have been sent to like the human world that it would be productive that still be training to go. And like yet like I'm talking like Hanataro might not at all be aware of like basically others as well been sent with like the same goal to train Ichigo to give that still the training like Ichigo never and the same would be like the case with like Rukia as well as the Renji. Maybe not with like the case of Rukia and Renji, but like with the case of Hanataro and Ganju that might be like the case with never but also I'm also bring like both Hanataro as well as like Ganju with only another of like there being Rangi as well as like Russia in that very same city as they are in right now with like them as well given being given like the same mission to like give that territory training to like if you go like about this like uh both Hanataro as well as Ganju with only another of that new and also like Hanataro as well as Ganju like basically being like the both of them being sent with like the payment that like expected that tilted range which is all like definitely what 20 years well 20 years well still it only unaware of it. So also definitely my brain. So then Ganju right now the since like it's all people that are like close to like seriously close to like it work and was like seriously close and was like totally part of like it was journey to like save Rukia from charity. Like I'm going like definitely like even Ganju right now showing up would be also with that extent in then according to like the discussion in between like the interaction between like Torahara and General side will be like the two skills will be trying to like go to like the sole reason for like Ganju right now showing up to the very same city as that of like it's especially my impression right. Okay, well, like I said, the claim of representation, kind of switching on to the claim that basically, right, in that represent there will be that in that entire case, like the word of humans, like basically, while there will be only like very few bound population, and like yet like in that certain part, like there might have been a great number of bounds that might have like it's the minimum for emergence, but like and among like among the those great number of bounds that might have been like in that certain parts, like. Uh, among those pounds, like a great number of pounds as well might have that the symptoms might have that taken human live human souls and might have caused like basically this whole like tunnel situation that's leading to like the world of follows to be and that way like the frequency of black holes showing up to like that tunnel being formed and basically black holes showing up to like the human world with like the rate of frequency or that might have totally happened in like the ancient past, just new framework ago. Uh, the rest about the minimum predator. So like back then after different like like the balance of like whole society is dependent on like the balance of like the human world as well. And we were all the covering like definitely that back then like the ruler of like the society might have totally sent out the orders to them so people to like get rid of that to take out and eliminate all the bounds in like the human world of the animal framework. So and like so like I'm going to close that down and like I'm going like as all the first from like society like that different parts might have tried to like eliminate and wipe out like the entire like the bounds. But like I'm going at that point might have been when like the soldiers might have realized that the true potential and right exceptional powers of like the bounds and basically the soldier army might have been partly defeated by like the bounds uh by the great number of bounds by the bound might have been what might have happened back then. Just me memorizing. So like back then, like what the soldiers might have done might have been like soldiers was back then in that system part might have sought the help of like the Quincy's. They might have eventually figured that like the bounce fear like the Quincy, which could be like the chase that me memorizing. Because like Quincy would be like Quincy's powers would be naturally advantageous against like the bounces like me memorizing. So like the soldier within that system part might have like sought the help in the name of like they might have sort of might have only put on a fake actors with like they want to form a friendship with like the Twinkies and like they might have totally made some sort of like an offer to like the Twinkies in like in exchange for like helping the total work like take out the bombs and was in that way like the sympathies might be through like the principles that like the majority of like the bombs might have gotten wiped out, especially on the brain so like my other impression that like since then like among like the remaining few survivors of like the bombs like there might have been this like main top single important role that might have been strictly followed among like spoke about that had survived since back then that is that they need to like prioritize to like basically live in like the shadows and darkness only that come out during nighttime and everything and to like that they prioritize things that because like if they are found out like basically they will be like eliminated by the countries which might have been along such like of situations that might have been for like the bounce back then it's definitely not relevant. So like I'm looking like so like in that attack by like the countries like the countries alliance with like four records like basically in that different house like basically during that attack of like the countries like and a lot of like innocent bounds might have already died like in a bound a great number of counts that had absolutely nothing to do with like basically devouring or like taking like the lives of like might not only like during that whole attack by the Jinju from the bombs, the funeral arrangement. So like that way, once like the majority of like the bombs might have been wiped out by the twenties, like at that point, and it might be at that point that extreme fear towards like the twenties might have happened. So then like the surviving bombs like that might have been this absolute fear between like the surviving bombs towards like the twenties, since the funeral arrangement. So like yeah, like I'm looking like and the shortage of might have speculation that usually all bound in like behavioral world might have been that like has wiped out by the countries. Might have been what might have happened to New York. So like So like I'm considering like maybe like the soul rate of black then might have upper like the whole this might have been like a more of like having like an innocent nature like and like since it might be that maybe even usually like the majority of the films it might be like not like extremely innocent but that might be also flip with that trust people go to the new memories. So like they might have just totally try to trust that like the sort of offer for them in exchange of like wiping out like the bounce. But like I was involved like the Quincy had wiped out like the bounce like I was the sort of might have not even not only not even kept their word or and not given the Quincy their offer and might have broken their deal and promise. But like also on top of that, like eventually like the Soul Reapers might have acted out in such an extremely realistic manner of like experimenting, capturing and experimenting on like frequencies and like the reason might have been for like the Soul Reapers like might have been so extremely envious of like the Quincy's powers like using this like they were so they might have been so easily able to like defeat them bring down like the bounce against whom like the Soul Reapers might have struggled so much in like the system that just never friend because the Soul Reapers might have wanted like the powers of like the Quincy's wanted to like gain like the power of like the Quincy's. So like this might be how like the experiments on like the Quincy might have began just never with any. And also like they were with the resistance where like once like the whole initially once like the whole Quincy for fight war situations got out of hand like then at that point I was like the Soul Reapers might have totally villainously not even bothered to they really even talk to like the Quincy like to like the leader of the Quincy or like to basically inform like the Quincy's about like the balance between like the human world and like the Soul Society how one can't fix it without the other terminal religion. They might have not even bothered, like moderators might have not even bothered to like even bring awareness to like frequencies and even that way trying to like even attempt to like stop like frequencies from taking the lives of like the follow and basically that moderators might have not even attempted to like bring about like even any sort of like awareness to like frequencies instead like about like the so they was after like basically after like they had like achieved their goal of like wiping out like the bounce like I'm given like once like the whole Quincy photo issue happened like basically like the Soviet of might have like so string this especially might have straight away decided to like wipe out like the entire fleet of like the Quincy's might have been more might have happened like the past definitely might have been younger. Also definitely on the terrain right now but like basically like the bounce like even like the bounce henchmen like basically talking among themselves as about like how is them like feeling about like if the humans how like the bounds are like so significantly little stronger than like the humans and all that like I'm definitely able to remember that like in this like for bound situation like eventually in like that final bound fight again since like I was doing that would be certainly she should have worked there. Yet like I was doing that that's the entire Jin and Funagawa and like the entire bound army versus like Izuo and Kuro and Ishida and all of them. Like in that fight like I was doing still right now I was doing maybe for like about 40 of like basically Jin and his like army of like bounds that's still being so sick in your bound that basically since like Shredder is like the only twin freak in that Ichigo's team that after like the remaining of that Ichigo's team that seriously struggling against like the army of bounds like the scenario that I was like so like at that point like when Amber was doing maybe for like a scenario where like like even with like Ishida possibly or Thorin Jung like still Amber was doing that the remaining bounds would be like of the or foreign like the others like so like I'm thinking maybe like overall for like a scenario where like the fight would be like usually ending up in like the absolute favor of like the team of bounds and the team bounds would be the team of bounds would be only or foreign and defeating like the team of like Ishida and Ichigo and through like the scenario that I'm looking like even though Ishida would be like okay or foreign gender like the scenario that I'm looking and maybe I'm looking and it could be at that point that basically and by then, like, they should have be getting back to like 20 calls, don't just minimum information. But still, that should be like the situation, is like the scenario that I'm looking where like bound to be eventually getting like the upper hand. And you'll be like only out for like so it's like the scenario that I'm but still I'm looking it could be at that point that I'm looking like the for different for like the twist happening with like basically Ichigo, Ishida, Ichigo and Throw as well as like the bound teams like Jin and this like bound army, all of them getting like the biggest of this like seven Steelers gap of like infiltrating into that fight and basically like fighting alongside like Ichiban groups, even though it's like the scenario that I'm considering. They would have always stopped asking like what's happening because like I'm considering like that mysterious fight would be like I couldn't see it's definitely my. So like I'm considering like that I'm considering that to be like a remote possible scenario, like the scenario that I was like where like this entire time while Ichigo and Rose and Ishida, even Ishida himself and all of them might have thought that like Ishida is like the only final last surviving survivor Quincy, like I'm considering like that their release like ending up being proven wrong. So like should I not being like the only last Quincy survivor, but like they are being one more Quincy survivor, last Quincy survivor. So like in total, like like there being not just Ishida, but like there will be like a total of two finals to Quincy survivors remaining. So, and that Quincy like is like showing up during this like it's going to like fight against like the Jin and like like the scenario that America has, like it's going through, and this Russia team would be about to lose like this, just happening with like this, that other countries like enter into that fight, and basically that would be like the whole, fourth factor that would be that allowing like it's going to be able to like defeat like the army of like Jin and like the like army of bound to like in this scenario of like a remote possibility that I'm looking for and method of the embarrassment. That way, like basically Ichigo squad, like it was pro member, like Ichigo squad getting like a new, absolute new, brand new member through this like brand new 20, like also like lingual positive scenario that I'm looking for Rihanna's trend. Also definitely my cooking reaction right now with like these brown smells of like James like having two bottles containing liquids with them. Like I mentioned that those bottles would be like probably in them for like Yoshino to capture Yoshino to help them be able to like capture Yoshino and bring Yoshino hopefully bring Yoshino back to the new entering. So like I would bring like that liquid might have like some sort of like an event on even boundaries of the event, right? So like it will be specifically intended for Yogen or don't know, so like with like these bound henchmen of like Gen like basically that basically their current goal would be to like basically that Jin might or order them to like to be not like they to like first eliminate like Ichigo and his legendary and then find Yoshino boost the bottle containing that liquid on Yoshino to like basically like weaken Yoshino and then like basically capture for them like capture Yoshino and forcefully bring Yoshino back to like the building like the base of like our sin and whatever is definitely another thing. So like I'm currently in this like found army of James like I was like it would be James that would be like the strongest and it would be like Odagawa that would be like the second strongest and it would be like Yoshino that would be the third strongest. It's definitely my opinion impression. Or this bound henchmen that would be like even weaker than that Yoshino. Definitely my consider impression. So that would be the clever reason for like then for having to like rely on like these bottle containing like this liquid for them to be able to like weaken and catch up like Yoshino is also like a possibility that I'm considering MS of the reimbursement. Okay, so like the female with reimbursement right now, so basically since like when Jin has basically someone has like basically found henchman like at that point I think like basically there was like with like what the droplet showing like and if we are right now with like the henchman of henchman bounce of Jin like basically bringing that two bottles containing some liquid. If you have the 3% right now, that liquid would definitely be water. Definitely not the 3%. And right now, with like the whole situation as well, in like the hospital, in like Ichida's room as well, being like basically like Ichigo and Rukia struggling to like stop this like leaking tap and everything. Like basically there as well, like once again, like water once again like rotating there as well. Especially with the machines right now is certainly that like bounce while being exceptionally strong and their weakness they will be having like the great weakness which I'm considering would be like what would be like the weakness of the bounce exceptionally like that would be the reason for like those two bottles containing the liquid that like that's like right now in like the index location of and like those like bound husband would be also water like it would be spraying water onto like bound would like might like seriously weaken like the bound definitely on the breast, and that might be such an ultimate weakness that bounce might be having which like the bounce might have managed to like detect it from like the rest of the world. So it's also definitely on the brain and from even like so because it's definitely on the brain. So definitely my personal impression is definitely that like so like since according to my personal impression I'm also saying like since it would be like totally like that like which is would be like totally naturally having their powers the naturally the powers of liquidity like who is the advantages again like the bound especially my good and like the one main reason for that as well and the you know like it is also like the powers of liquidity would have some sort of like a connection to the element of water. Definitely my good this might be like that critical factor that makes like the attacks and like power frequencies that extremely overpowered against like the bounce the element of the range. This might be the reason for like the bounce for the event theory. Since it is also definitely my personal theory correction for like what like the accuracy of expectation is definitely with the range. So like remembering right now for like once like the bound henchman of like 10 would be like without integrating ambulance integrating into like the hospital into that floor into that rooms where like instead of like better than and usually like them attacking Ichigo like Ichigo like or and trying to like attack and take out like Ichigo or Kime and like Renji and all of them and Ricky and all of them but like I'm during this fight like I'm doing but like they're right there in that room, like they're being just like leading and everything like undergoing as like the song instrument itself would be like usually or boring that she's going through. At that point would be when like undergoing jumps or the tripping and falling. One of them like probably like tripping and falling onto like the bucket that that has right now kept in that room of like usually like collect the water or flowing from this thing, especially into scenarios that I'm doing. And it would be at that point that I'm going to bring like all of them, Ishida and Ichigo, and all of them would be like shockingly realizing that basically the bound have in fact have a weakness and that's like what is definitely in my personal theory and person right now. Also, my the reimbursement is for like a remote possibility for like maybe just maybe it being like maybe it being like Ishida's father's like spirit because like definitely for like Ishida's father would have already died in like the past and it's into my observation that it might have definitely been Jin himself that might have taken the life of like Ishida's father. And I was wondering like since like the location in this like Ishida even is a in fact like Ishida's father's like hospital so definitely I'm looking like unlike in it was like father's like clinic like they this hospital of like instead of father like it's indicates like I'm looking definitely like for like the tap to like totally malfunction like won't be just like sheer coincidence at all. It's definitely number three impression like I'm looking like it might be like before like if it was brought to this hospital like I'm looking like the spirit of like this father would be like present themselves like hospital and he might have totally been able to foresee like the whole scenario and like situation where like you said I would be like be brought to this like hospital into this like room. It's definitely my preference. So like maybe like you should have father might have been like the person and it's like you should have even right now even saying that like some a dialogue along the lines of like this will be something that it should have father who told me to referring to like basically Ishida's having his letter was allocated to like the very top floor. So like there being absolutely no one to like the very top floor. So other than like the remaining patients will be like say, even for fight for it. So like basically all that even happening, like Ishida even ending up getting allocated to like the ninth floor with like the like it's just like Ishida alone in that floor. Like basically all that happening definitely like the spirits of like stuff of might have still played and absolute role in all happening so like right now in even this like tap water leaking as well like basically like picked up like the father might have totally the tap leaking like basically like the tap leaking right now but certainly has like the henchman of the bound henchman is like about to like make an attack on Ishida. But we are right now actually about to make that attack on Ishida and Izuku and all of that. So like right during this exact time period like usually like the staff in that instead of the room specifically malfunctioning and all that will be only the stealthy work like discussing with us father. It's definitely my personal theory and person should only protect each other as well as like the patient and like the other patients in like the hospital as well, especially my personal theory. Because like your father might have been such passionate doctor that basically even after dying like a spirit might have not left like the hospital and might have stayed there watching over like the patients and watching over like uh, the patients and the things happening with them. And once a while, like he might have even stepped out to like with even watch over to sit as well. It's also like about the base that and like mainly like it should have father might have stepped as well. Father might have been always staying in that in this like very hospital without him like even after this death might have been like what might have happened especially as of the so like the you know the reimbursement right now is like instead of the room being getting flooded with water and someone controlling like the water and rain and the water trying to like suffocate it should have the clear reimbursement right now is that basically it will be definitely the work of like the henchman of like the bound henchman of like James Stepney but like I'm looking like the clear right now for like the scenario that I'm looking at right now is definitely for like with like they are being like physical arrangements and all of them like basically bring like it's one Renji and maybe like Chad and all of them like basically like using all of their powers and basically trying to like save Ishida right now. It's like the scenario that I was doing, but like all of their attempts failing. It's like the scenario that I was doing. Because like even naturally like the boundary having such an extreme situation, friends especially when with Rainbow like regardless of their attack on that water that will be trying to like suffocate Ishida, like all that failing is like the scenario that I'm living and that will be when like Orihime will be trying to like save Ishida. But like at that point I'm looking like more water being controlled and like trying to also suffocate Orihime as well at that point. It's like the scenario that I'm living. So at that point, like I'm looking like maybe most likely I'm looking like Ichigo as well as like Renji as well as Chad, like all of them like trying to like say or him at that point is like the scenario that I'm living and like all that failing is like the scenario that I'm living. So like Ishida on one side would be like would be that still in the like bedridden state while being surrounded by that water body and like Ishida would be getting suffocated by the water while Ishida would be shockingly also witnessing that or him right in front of him that he also getting suffocated by that water that's being controlled. It's like the scenario that I'm living and maybe at that point is when I'm looking like maybe like at that point that is when none of them would be able to like save either Ishida or him. So like in such a scenario, like I'm looking like that seeing or him right in front of him, like definitely I'm still remember mention that like Ishida but definitely having a massive crush on him for a long time by now. Certainly remember so seeing like someone that would be so extremely precious to Ishida like or him like basically like suffocating and about to die in front of like Ishida that situation or scenario like basically like forcing Ishida to be able to and that way being able Ishida being able to like bring out and finally get back like now 20 powers to like the scenario that I'm learning. So like Ishida like finally getting back to like no 20 powers in through such a manner and Ishida straight away like it is 20 powers with such absolute ease like basically destroying like the water that water body that's like trying to like suffocate it and then just straight away like like just another second attack like it are totally dream or a as well with like the scenario that I'm looking for. And at that point I was wondering like maybe like the bounce instrument like showing up into that room and trying to take them all out as like the scenario that I'm looking. But like I was wondering like at that point like for Ichigo and like the others like holding close by it, straight away like charging towards like those sound movement and like those sound movement like easily or pouring like Ichigo and the like the scenario that at that point like I'm looking like Ishida was like one of just like Ishida at that point with just one or two attacks like easily is only or pouring and defeating those sound movement is like the scenario that I'm looking over and definitely I'm looking like yeah, and definitely I'm remembering like one of like the still I'm remembering like those about when managing to like escape, but like one of those bound when like not being able to like escape is like the scenario that I'm looking at, and like that one bound when getting captured by Ichigo and so like interrogating thing like I'm looking like Ichigo and Shiro finding out all sorts of like crucial and critical details about like the about Jin and like Jin about Jin and like about like all sorts of plans of gyms and everything. It's definitely my 300. So like it will be through that interrogation that I'm super like it's going through like most likely finding out through him as to like the chin and like the other bounds like totally clearing since he's like this again. It will be having such an exchange advantage things like bounds and also like this and all sorts of details connecting to like the bounds like and through finding out through like interrogating that like one bound instrument of is like living the scenario that I'm working on the brain and the brain. So that's like the flavor of 3% right now. From like the bound instrument of the gym like right now talking about like the thought like that about to take the life of like to go into like the clear my 3% right now especially that like the dog like the intent bound intent talks about the bone definitely would definitely not be like not Karudo Nova or Learner's definitely information. Tarlo, Nova, and Learn would be like genuine more services and new information. Like that's all that like the foundations will be talking about is totally different thoughts. So like definitely one with the reimbursement that basically the doll that basically like the foundation of Jin talks about might have actually been like that stone like that look like present within like that moving water right. That stone piece might be like caught doll by like the bound the new ring. So like as like how they might have used their water controlling power, like they might have brought out this like stone like doll and they might not only or that stone like those like they might have from like the mountains when might not only for their water in their whole body and basically like then they might have used their mysterious powers onto that wet and soap stone doll and like it might be at that point like the stone doll might have started like controlling like the water and amplifying the quantity of water and basically use that water according to like the intents of like the uh intents of like the boundaries like that or might have performed the task of like basically trying to like by controlling the water trying to take it out like that, so that this might have been what might have happened. Okay, so like the flavor of the reimbursement right now as for like Borogune right now seeing like another circular like stone like thing from within like another like moving water body like that. And like Borogune right now is saying that it's just at all to like the flavor of reimbursement like it's the same of like they do to like Borogune alone having like superior uh sensing capabilities like hearing capabilities like Borogune might have like maybe due to like organized like high pixel, unique kind of like a high pixel, or like for him might be able to like hear interactions from long distances. Definitely one of those. So like that way, like or he may don't might have heard like right now might have heard like the whole interaction between like after like the attack through like the water body like after that like maybe like or he may alone until then like maybe even or he might have not been able to like hear it, but maybe like it might have been at that point after like that by like the whole water body like that like or we might have gained no or in a picture powers might have like gained that like kind of like an upgrade where like we might have been able to like hear like the sort of interaction between like the two like bounce henchmen that are hiding and sending all these calls, especially with the so like especially with the right now that like even though those circular stone like things doesn't look at all like a doll yet like since like it was during the interaction between those two boundaries and that like they were talking about dolls and about like going through not realizing that it's like dolls like and since like going through hadn't heard that conversation and get like for Ohima right now, looking at that circular stone piece that within that moving water body, and basically Ohima alone calling it a doll, like is this a doll like usually around the lines like when you could tell because of like Ohima most likely right now, possibly having gotten that like a spiritual power upgrade where like Ohima would be able to like hear Ohima alone, like it was through right now, Ohima alone would be able to like hear like the future interaction between like those two bound henchmen that are hiding simply with Rex. So like I'm looking from this point on, like I'm looking whenever those bound henchmen will be interacting, I'm looking like or maybe like here that interaction from like the distance. So definitely with Rex. And that will like for him helping to going through out a lot in that allowing them to be able to like fight back against these dogs as well as to be able to like them to get them towards like those bound henchmen that are hiding in that hospital. Like the scenario that I'm going to like and the okay, so like definitely going to put in direction right now as for like after like for him right now with like instead of seeing like a moving water body like instead of even saying calling it like if it's like a water doll. Definitely going to impressions that like it was really good like instead of so pain knowing or having heard of like basically that maybe like in like the ancient history of thinking about which like she was instead of like grandpa might have told instead of might have heard of like these what these doll like objects like on the and it could just be a water doll like they should are calling it like a water doll like there will be like fire dolls and there will be like earth dolls like like there will be all sorts of different kind of dolls so which like all sorts of like different element based attacks would be launched or it's definitely like maybe like if a doll like there will be like maybe like an earth doll in which like basically like unlike it unlike water like it's like sand like a pop onto like the soul like and like then it would be like a sand attack that would be happening and I was wondering maybe like as for like a fire doll like basically it would be like lighting up that lighting up putting fire onto like that fireball might be that turning it into like a fire attack and all that. Like, so like I'm wondering these kind of items might have been items used by warriors in like the ancient past with the military and such. So that and like about this history like it should have like grandpa might have known and should have grandpa back during it should have childhood it should have grandpa might have told about this like history of like ancient history of like agencies and basically about like the warriors back then like using all these dolls ancient doll weapons and everything to and this might be the present and sole reason for like Ishida right now calling it, asking if it's like a water source, especially when it's rain. So whereas in like original place, I'm still thinking about the rain. That it won't be, it would have like absolutely nothing to do with like Austin having any sort of knowledge connecting to the dolls, but like it would be only due to like Austin possibly having like, right now possibly gaining like higher spiritual senses to be able to like hear like the secret interactions of that those two bound instruments who are hiding in that hospital. It's definitely my secondary impression right now. So sort of name of secondary impression right now with like Chichigo and Renji like so striking and basically destroying like all this like in multiple like one uh body like like still definitely with the impression like in order to like permanently stop this like multiple water bodies like like they would have to like strike and then they strike on that exact precise circular stone like water doll. It's definitely never crazy. Like that doll should be like most likely uh would be having to be destroyed in order for them to like permanently stop that water body from reappearing with the chamber with the river. So like if they're being like so like there will be multiple like water so especially with the river. So like I'm also like it won't be like the very same like circular stone like water dolls that basically that was present in that if it was that room that would be right now would have right now that like right now having chased and basically right now it's in like something of like if you went through that would be like another water doll definitely like there would be multiple water dolls like another thing like the key to like ending this like water doll attack would be to like essentially land the stones like on that circular stone like water door and destroy it's like destroy that stone like water dog would be the only way to like basically to put an end to like this like repeated water dog attack that lead my reaction. So like I'm doing that without this great delay like it's doing most likely instead of that only figuring that out and most likely telling it's to and trying to that like using the key that basically like to aim their strike at like the water ball and that like I'm preventing them really destroying like the moving water attack like on that like the water ball attack on them like ending through such a manner like the scenario where I was like and I'm basically like it will be only at that point that I'm preferring like those two bound henchmen of that thing who are heading to the like find it deciding like so and like that actual fight would be like happening only at that point of like scenario that actual fight against like the bound henchmen of Jen will be only happening at that point is like in the scenario that I'm preferring. It was like the name of the reaction right now. I saw like the announcement of Jim right now saying that soldier is with them. Like if you listen, they use like the word since like if you go in the as well as like Rupiah are also because we had like since they use like those mountain only use like the word to and like along the lines of like there's like a single source requirement which goes through like so that the flavor of machines are like really these bound henchmen even while they will be able to like sense the things going on there like they won't be able to like actually see what's going on while they are hiding like won't be able to like see actually like what's going on but like the fight against like the WaterDoll and like it is also like they might definitely have not seen like the players specifically like right now Ichigo as well as Renji are in their soul river like costume and so like they are not sort of never preferences like those like found henchmen that are hiding like absolutely not being able to like actually see what's going on then they are only able to like sense what's going on so like I was like they are only able to like they might have been only able to like sense like that part of the one attack of like social reapers that like okay launched onto like that water dog alone like they might have only been able to like sense that alone and like that will be the potential reason for like those projects when even saying that like so there soldier a bit among like it's one crore. It's definitely my primary emerging. So like they are like totally so my primary mentioned that like those two bound men would be like totally even to the person would be like totally unaware of that which is as well as Rangi as well being the like being soldier but definitely my primary impression right now. Yes, well, you know, the impression right now what like the henchmen what like James are right now being revealed to the kids like and right now like it was straight away taking the decision to like run away like that's that it could be the day and the difference to be solely due to like the last thing to go even wanting to be with the like have some it's definitely the impression so yet like I'm referring like the scenario that I'm referring right now is definitely for like it's going for running away like I'm referring yet like them ending up in like another dead end and at that point I was like them being cornered by like the like the scenario that I'm referring and at that point I was referring once again like at that point like it's going for would be having like no other option but to like fight them. It's like the scenario fight there for what like dot like the scenario that I'm looking at. So like I'm looking that definitely that fight happening while yet like I'm looking like which went through like that and making absolutely certain to like not like have any of their attacks hurt the kids of like the scenario that I'm looking at. So like I'm looking at them the fight thing that absolute decision like it's even in a controlled manner like it's going through like attacking in like a controlled manner and destroying those two what those is like the scenario that I'm looking at. So like after that, like I'm referring like definitely like at that point I was referring like those two kids would be like extremely sad and disappointed and would be like totally like at that point I was referring them were deserted straight away running away is like the scenario that I'm referring. Like sad and disappointed and maybe like even running away crying is like the scenario that I'm referring. But like at that point I was referring like arranging at that point I was referring like each when all of them would be kind of okay with them like getting away. It's like the scenario that I'm doing. But like I'm doing at that point, it will be Renji alone that will be like totally like acting in a different manner and like Renji at that point like going after them and basically standing in front of them and like not allowing them to like escape like the scenario that I'm doing again. Renji is totally scaring them with like the scenario that I'm doing and that way like the whole interrogation will probably happen. It's like scenario that I'm doing and by then like Ishida would have like recovered enough to like to be able to like live the whole like the scenario that I'm talking to. Like at that point, I was telling them more heading back to like Hara stop and like then bringing those kids as well to like Hara stop. And I was telling like them they're like I'm talking like the interrogation would be like happening like not in an extremely serious manner, but like in like a with like a lot of comedies like the scenario that I'm talking like Aranjit always scaring them while at the same time like I'm looking like and that way like them those two kids like reading everything they know about like the mountain about Jin and everything to like one to live like the scenario that I'm doing and by spending time with those two kids spending time there at like or horror shop like I'm doing especially with like Jin as well as like the other there as well like them as well being there like I was putting like them totally bonding and that the kids like totally having a blast and having so much fun and basically them like that absolute bond of friendship like happening between like Jinda and that other girl and like this like getting into scenario that I was maybe like one of the kids among the two that like one of them might front like I'm looking like the other girl Jinja might be like picking a fight with that boy kid while like that other girl kid would be like straight away like and that whole friendship only happening with like that other girl and like uh, one of the friend would be like Jinja's sibling is so like that girl and like the founder like American I'm totally straight away bonding and like the friendship being formed between them while Jinta and like the boy kid like will be like totally taking a fight. But like I was doing eventually that whole friendship happening and I was doing like from that point on I was doing like the like basically maybe like Urahara taking the decision to have like the kid stay at like Urahara shop. It's like the scenario that I'm doing because like because of like it being extremely dangerous like we get on the lines for Urahara will be feeling like it being extremely dangerous when before to have them return back to like gym especially because that maybe like but like the thing gym is like going and everything right now going and everything so like they are having such a scenario and happening and basically even topic even by then like would have even getting into that decision and literally listen of Aurora and literally and then let's stay at like on our stop and from that point on I'm going to bring them being like those two like down kids like being permanently staying at like a stop while Ohara making would be it's like the scenario that I'm literally talking and not the introduction. So that is like even good scenario that I'm looking. So like while Ichigo and Pro will be like eventually having their ultimate fight against like Jin and it's like men like at that point like this found kid that will be totally out of that picture at that point. It's like the good scenario that I'm looking and not okay, so like the game of the Graham Button right now was like not even like a Renji as well as which has like combined shadow attack, like not even being able to like stop like the water dog right now and with like which you are right now fighting like the lighter and lighter like I'm the like scenario right now was definitely for right now with like Ichigo show would be like showing the lighter to that but like at that point I was like Rupiah was like telling Ichigo to like totally burn something up using that lighter. So like I'm like it's going maybe there might be so at that point I'm expecting like there to be like some sort of like an object for in there so like which like which is going to like would be burning and basically which will be throwing that object towards like that water dog and at that point like before like that burned object would be reaching back to the water dog and like I'm hoping once again like RNG and Russia sending out their part of power and basically that igniting and and even more and basically like that absolute flame because like that object that Ichigo would be throwing like I'm doing like it to be like a fusion of object which will be like fully getting which will be getting burned which will be on flame in the flame so like that coupled with like the hard of power of like both hard attack of both Rupiah as well as RNG like basically the combined flame like effect like everything like evaporating like the entirety of and destroying like the entirety of like that waterfall and that way like that final ultimate waterfall as well getting defeated is like the scenario that I'm getting about the program of the Rainbow. But like I was like that still different that you what thought still won't be like the final waterfall especially with the rest because like when that kid they start basically fight like stop people going to they have told out the names of their individual waterfalls. So like that would be like the main boss waterfall of like those two kids, like the stone of waterfall and the new friends. So like once again, like I'm looking like after like defeating like so like about my information after defeating right now like after defeating like that main giant waterfall like I'm looking uh while it can throw with all the things that like finally they can escape like at that point I was bringing them getting thrown on by those kids and I'm bringing them then those friends bringing out their main waterfalls their individual main waterfalls like scenario that I'm looking at. So and I was like once again with it went through like still somehow managing to like take out those two main waterfalls. And I was with those two waterfalls would be like far stronger but you know yet like it went through like somehow managing to like take out those two waterfalls. Or like I was different Ichigo and through like basically like Ishida coming up with a solution which would be to like for like maybe like at that point I was going to like telling to go and go to like basically target the food strike on not the water doll but like on the like bottle cap lying on the ground from which like the water ball is like appearing. So like that way like other than maybe at that point like uh Ichigo and Renji like not like resource striking and destroying those two bottle caps on the floor. Basically, it's that like those two ultimate waterfalls of those kids like being totally destroyed and defeated like those scenarios that I was looking at that point I was looking like those kids like totally most likely would be like crying because like they lost that the initial scenario that I'm looking for and also so like the name of the frame position right now with like it's going to stay in that while like chat or automation and okay like entering like the it's like the name of the position right now that like basically those two kids like while fighting each other and really like in simultaneously they them also like using their remote power like using the like they have even turned on like the taps and everything like about like that lead them using such very similar powers like simultaneously while fighting in two and Ria for the those two kids like basically remotely like stopping like the lift. It's like the scenario that I was referring like so like lift getting stopped midway and like then like I'm referring like water pouring from like the ceiling of like the lift like the scenario that I was referring. So like that's like scenario that I'm about to bring it. So like I'm about to bring like while like those two kids would be fighting like physical and Randy, like I'm about to like they would be like filling up like that lip with like water. So like I'm about to like the water increasing bit by bit and like I'm about to totally like all of them getting scared like basically or and like Optiman, like Optiman there and like as like the water level will be rising from the things like that water from which will be controlled will be like get rising more and decreasing more and more from the then like the lift to like the scenario that it will bring. So like while Kisugo and Renji would be like fighting off against those two kids like at that point like I was thinking like those kids like they really telling Ichigo and Renji about like the situation right now with like Ishida and all of them in like the lifted like the scenario that I'm looking for. So like at that point I was like the scenario to be like at that point I was thinking like actually Ichigo and Renji like only like feeling seriously worried uh for like uh for like Ishida and all of them like in like the scenarios that I'm looking for. So like at that point I was thinking finally Ichigo feeling as like he has no other choice but to like actually fight and basically, at that point, I was for like it to go like bringing out like maybe like it was maybe at that point like bring out not just Bankai powers, but still I'm also like it will bring out like a lot of a certain extent of the like previous powers and basically Ichigo being able to like bring out that power because like I'm looking like even though Ichigo might have been able to like fight so freely in like the Soul Society and like in like the human world like Ichigo might be not be able to like do that so freely but you will just see like it was like Bankai powers alone like but like there will be like also a perfect figure that like you won't be able to like bring what is always like struggling to bring out right now in like the human world because of like it's not being able to not used to like fighting in like the human world just make the everything like after Ichigo had reviewed like training and gain strength in like the soul society like really after that like it was not solely like it was not being as used to like fighting in like the human world with all that power like might see like the results or like it was not being able to like right now access like back up in like the human world and all that definitely one thing. So like Ichigo being not bringing out his Bankai power, but like it was still being able to like bring out a lot of like true power like scenario that he had back in the actual society right now like the human world is like the scenario that I was looking at. Using that power like Ichigo totally like destroying. And I'm going to bring nature like Ichigo. That's like one possibility that I'm doing. Or like the other possibility is like basically that desperate desire and need for like Ichigo to basically save Ishida and all the friends rather than like to live like totally causing like Ichigo to like bring out like new some sort of like a new attack which will be like a flame fire based attack like totally learning like a new fire getting like access to like some sort of like an ultimate fire based attack like instantly on the spot due to that whole need and culture like the scenario that I'm doing that way like it go using that new fire attack like but like I'm doing like it would be like the impact would be covered in like flames like the scenario that I'm doing using that like it go totally destroying and taking out like both like the main WaterDoll form of that close to this is like the scenario that I'm doing. That way, like the moment like the name to WaterDoll will be like defeated itself like a multiple like the water, which will be like will almost fully filled in like that left and I'm believing like the scenario of the situation at that point would be like right before Shiva would be like defeating those two waterfalls like I'm believing like for him and Ishida as well as Rukia, like all of them would be like totally and would be totally drowning from the thing like the list and that one is like the scenario that I'm going. So like at the moment like Ichigo and they will be like about to die, but like the moment like Ichigo will be like defeating those two water bosses like water ball boss like at that point like I'm becoming it in the water like slowly disappearing just like that. And then like Philip like starting to like rough and basically Philip once again starting to like move at that point. Just like and finally like again all of them like it's and also the finally being able to like escape from like in the hospital is like the winter scenario that I'm just looking at on the train. So it's like the thing of train station right now with like the Rukia or Chennai and also like finally making it to like the ground floor, get like them like not leaving like the hospital and just be staring at something in that shop man or like when the train station right now is definitely that like from like the ground floor, what they would be like, what they would have seen would be most likely like the exit door, like right outside of like the exit door of like the hospital, like it will be fully water, definitely on the prevention because like I'm looking at those kids might not have been manipulated like the water in such a way that they might have surrounded like the like entirety of like the outside of like the hospitals, like right like the outer surface of like the hospital like basically they might have surrounded it with like what the name of the range. So like all the way to like maybe like the entirety of like the hospital and that of like the height of like the hospital building is also like maybe like my the range. So like that way like I'm looking like that should be like the scenario that me the range. So like at that way like at that point like Ichigo as well as Rengi like to see that and them as well being totally shocked with like them having no way to like even escape from like hospital. It would be like the scenario that I'm looking at that point Silpam was looking like they only at that point Silpam was looking like those two kids like literally walking up from behind them and literally uh, like saying something along the lines of like you have no fixed step would be something along the lines like that saying and basically at that point definitely it's work and then that oh that foreman family being get ending up in like a corner family corner like kind of like a situation. So like at that point definitely we were finally deciding to like fight them to like the scenario that I'm looking at. Yet like in case of mine like it will be like probably would be extremely cautious and would be only having like would be like having the ultimate priority to like fight them in such a way so as to like it to be in such an extremely controlled manner to ensure that like he doesn't accidentally hurt them like neither him or like anyone or like anyone of like his woman will like actually not even accidentally hurt them. Just like the scenario that maybe I'm referring like to go even maybe like because of this remember when you like to go telling his like crew members to like stand back and like to not participate in this fight and this being maybe Ichigo all by himself fighting against those two bounce. It's like the bounce it is like the eventual scenario that I've been putting and never very much.